I asked him what he wanted for his 50th, and he said nothing, which is perfect because that's exactly what he contributes to this marriage.
My 50th birthday was supposed to mark the halfway point of a life well lived. Instead, it became the night I buried the version of myself my wife had spent years convincing me to be quiet, agreeable, invisible. And I didn't just walk away from the party. I walked away from the man she turned me into. The restaurant was packed Fleming's Steakhouse, dim lights, golden chandeliers, and the hum of rich people pretending to enjoy each other. My wife Jessica looked flawless in her black dress, holding a champagne flute like she was accepting an Oscar. "Everyone," she said, clinking her glass, "a toast to my husband on his 50th birthday." I smiled politely. Then she opened her mouth and destroyed every remaining illusion I had about our marriage. "I think we all know who the real success story is here," she said with a bright, brittle laugh. "Poor David still drives that old Audi while I just made partner." Laughter erupted, real, awkward, cruel. "To my husband," she continued, "who's been riding my coattails for 20 years. More laughter. Even our daughter Mia home from Princeton snickered behind her phone. No one at that table knew the truth. My trust fund paid for the Audi, my investments paid for Princeton, my money bought the lake house. My quiet financial empire kept Jessica's entire life floating above water. But I let her have the spotlight. For 20 years I let her shine. She repaid me by turning my birthday into a circus act. I didn't storm out, didn't yell. I simply placed my napkin on the table, stood, and walked right out the front door. Silence can be a man's sharpest blade, and that night I sharpened mine. I'm David Mitchell, 50 years old. Financial advisor turned silent investor. No office suits, no fancy titles, no applause. Just results. Jessica used to love that about me, my calm, my steadiness, my refusal to chase status. But somewhere along the way, ambition twisted her into someone who couldn't appreciate quiet success. She built her career aggressively, charity boards, late nights, shaking hands with partners' wives, learning golf she despised, and turning everything into a performance. And I became a background character in her story. A prop, a placeholder. A convenient husband who smiled on cue and paid the bills, but that night at Fleming's, she forgot one thing: props don't hold power. Men do, and I was done being a prop. The cracks started appearing 6 years earlier. Jessica was passed over for partner. She came home shattered, poured a double scotch, and said, "What would you know about deserving partner? You've never had to fight for anything in your life." I should have corrected her, but I didn't. Then came the small humiliations, interrupting my stories, calling me boring, telling her sister I lacked ambition, taking credit for my financial support, making decisions without me. And then there was Thomas Bennett, the founding partner's son, late-night calls, secret lunches, business meetings that ended at his condo. Did I know they were sleeping together? Yes. Did I confront her? No, I waited. Sometimes patience is the deadliest form of revenge. I hired my old college roommate Alex, a private investigator. We built a file: Jessica's lunches with Thomas, late-night visits to his condo, settlements he'd paid for past affairs, their shared plans for her career. The evidence was enough to destroy them, but revenge isn't about destruction. It's about balance, and I intended to rebalance my entire life. The morning after my birthday, I made 4 calls: my attorney, my accountant, my trustee, and Robert Bennett, founding partner of Jessica's law firm and Thomas's father. One by one, I pulled the levers Jessica never knew I controlled. I transferred the lake house to my name, restricted Mia's trust access, pulled my multi-million-dollar investment from the law firm, froze joint accounts, reorganized my estate, and removed Jessica as beneficiary. It wasn't impulsive, it was strategic. When I met Robert Bennett for lunch, I showed him everything: Thomas's behavior, Jessica's involvement, her ethical violations. Robert's face hardened. By the next morning, Thomas was on indefinite leave and Jessica's partnership was suspended. The powerful Jessica Mitchell became a liability overnight, and I hadn't raised my voice once. When she confronted me outside the lake house, wild-eyed, breathless, terrified, she demanded answers. "You can't just pull out millions from the firm. Do you know what you've done to my career? Yes, I said simply. You're destroying everything. No, I corrected. I'm reclaiming everything you dismissed. When I mentioned Thomas, she froze. I know, I whispered. All of it. When her phone rang and she learned the firm was suspending her partnership, she collapsed against the car. You went to Robert, she whispered. I did. You ruined me. No, Jessica, I said. You ruined yourself. I just stopped paying the price. The fallout was swift. Jessica lost her partnership and was blacklisted in Seattle. She sold her Tesla, moved into a modest apartment, and began therapy. Mia faced consequences too, no more unlimited cards. She transferred schools, humbled for the first time in her life. Months later, Jessica showed up at my office, no designer dress, no perfect hair, no cold confidence, just a woman stripped of illusions. I know I can't fix what I broke, she said quietly, but I'm asking for a chance to rebuild. If you'll allow it, I studied her. She was honest, a rarity I hadn't seen in years. I'm grilling at the lake house Friday, I said. You can join if you want. Whether we rebuild or part forever remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, I will never again diminish myself to fit into someone else's spotlight. I am the foundation. The provider, the builder, the quiet force she underestimated. I walked out of that birthday dinner a humiliated man. I emerged from that lake house a rebuilt one, and Jessica? She finally sees me not as an accessory to her ambition, but as the man she lost long before I walked away. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like and subscribe for more.